So welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Before I start discussing the wrist joints, I wanted to just speak about one point that, or a question I've been asked a lot from so many of you when I met you. People asked me this question, why are you guys helping us a lot? And what is the reason that you're giving us all of these resources? And most of them are just for free. Guys, we're doctors. And if you are going to want to be a doctor in the future, you're going to want to be somebody who is always ready to give. And that's the reason why we are training ourselves to give unconditionally, as much as we can to the environment that we live in currently, because we're not able to give back as real doctors because we don't have the knowledge yet. But yes, this is why we're doing it. My roommates Kareem, Mu'adh, and me have decided to try our best to always give back to the community in a way. And the community that we live in right now is just filled with students, and why not give them all those resources that we have in the beginning of the year that we studied for year one. So yes, this is the reason, and expect us to be doing this, hopefully, as always, unconditionally. That's the reason. So without further ado, I would like to just move on to say the wrist joint. Okay, so the wrist joint is a kind of a condyloid joint, according to Sariski's definitions. Look at how your thumb moves, your wrist moves the same. So there is the movement of flexion, extension, adduction, and abduction, and those type of four things allow to move as a condyloid joint. So this is an example. This is the general information about the wrist joint. Why is it called radiocarpal joint? Is because mainly is between the articulation of the radial bone with the carpal bones. And if you, I don't know if you guys have already gone over the carpal bones, you have to know exactly which ones articulate with the radius. So the articular surfaces superiorly, proximally, the concavity of the lower end of the radius, and the articular disc between the head of the ulna. So directly, the radius articulates directly with the carpal bones, but when it comes to the ulna, there is an articular disc between the ulna and the carpal bones, and that's why it's called the radiocarpal joint. And Sariski would want to hear the articulation of the radius with the carpal bones. And then you just mentioned there's an articular disc between the ulna and the carpal bones. Why there's an articular disc is because, as always, whenever you find an articular disc, this means that the bones cannot articulate with each other because of irregular fitting of the two sides. So the ulna, the ulna, I think, contains a convex ending, unlike the radius, which has a what was it called? Where'd it go? The concave ending, and that allows for a better fitting of those bones. But for the ulna, it's different. That's why an articular disc comes in to try and fill in that inability to articulate. Okay. So yes, inferiorly, which means, so we're talking about superiorly like that. Inferiorly, we're talking about the carpal bones themselves. So a convex articular surface formed by the scaphoid, lunate, and triquetral bones of the proximal carpal row. So you have to know there's two rows for the carpal bones. It's the proximal and the distal, and the proximal is made up of the scaphoid, lunate, and triquetrum, and then the distal is made up of the hamate, the capitate, the trapezium, and no trapezoid, and then the trapezium closest to the thumb. Okay, and we didn't want to go into the um, carpal bones, but you have to know exactly what's happening right here. So radius right here articulates with scaphoid and lunate, and then ulna articulates with triquetrum. Okay, that's the articulation surfaces of this joint. Okay, and as usual, there's always a capsule that is holding and articulating, allowing for the articulation of this joint very safely. Approximately attached to the margins of the lower end of the radius, close to the articular surface. Distally, it is attached to the scaphoid, lunate, and triquetrum, of course, to the parts that are involved. What is that? Let's see. Let's just zoom in here. Better for you guys. Uh, mm, the joint cavity is shut off the inferior radio-ulnar joint above by the articular disc and is separated from the mid-carpal joint below by the proximal row of the carpal bones. Okay, so you will study more about the joints of the carpal bones in the future. I don't know if you guys need this video, but probably it's a good idea because it's part of the upper limb. I'll create this video and explain what they mean right here in that video. So remember, so fibrous capsule that surrounds the joint of the wrist. Next, we have ligaments of the joint. So what holds this joint? And these are important to memorize and know. Always there's always collateral ligaments in this. So we start with those because it's the easiest to remember. So they'll be on the sides. We have the ulnar collateral ligament and the radial collateral ligament. The radial on this side, ulnar on this side, ulnar collateral, radial collateral. The ulnar collateral extends from the tip of the styloid process of the ulna. There's a styloid process here for the ulna, extends from here to the pisiform. So that's the ulna. Okay, there's a styloid process on this end. Pisiform is this bone that I know you guys always wondered what this bone is. What's this protuberance in my just the beginning of my hand? This is the pisiform. So the ulnar collateral extends from the styloid process of the ulna to the pisiform. Next, collateral ligament extends from the tip of the styloid process of the radius. So there's another styloid process for the radius on this side to the lateral sides of the scaphoid bone. There's a scaphoid bone, part of the carpal tunnel, as you guys all know. So it's this right here, scaphoid, and extends from the styloid process of the radius to the scaphoid. And for the other one, from the styloid process of the ulna to the pisiform. Okay. These are the ulnar collateral ligaments. Now we have the anterior palmar radioculprit ligament. Palmar is on the palm. So it's from the radius, not this here, radius to the carpal bones. So it extends from the it extends in front of the capsule from the anterior margin of the lower end of the radius, right here. Okay, on this part, yeah, we're looking at this part. And the anterior margin of the articular disc to the front of scaphoid, lunate, and triquetrum bones. And it just extends, I think, also from the ulna itself. Yes, you see, so the anterior margin of the articular disc. So it extends from the radius and from the anterior margin of the articular disc, not the ulna itself, because remember, there's an articular disc, and extends to the bones right here that we all mentioned. Posterior radiocarpal ligament extends from the behind capsule from the posterior margin of the lower end of the radius. We're talking about this part right now, and the posterior margin of the articular disc, okay, to the back of the scaphoid, lunate, and triquetrum. So there's just anterior and posterior ligaments, lateral, ulnar collateral, radial collateral, ulnar collateral. Okay, those are the ligaments that you have to memorize. Now, relations of the joint. Carpal tunnel, we're going to make a video about that. Please remind me if I forget, because carpal tunnel is one of the most important points that you would ever have to study. It will be part of your practical, and count my words on that. I hope I'll be right, because it's a very interesting topic and it's very easy, very nice to know, but it's very interesting to study. I'll make a separate video for the carpal tunnel. You don't have to know for now about this part for this joint. Movements of the joint, as I said in the beginning: flexion, extension, abduction, and adduction. And this is all of those things or movements can be studied in the future, and you'll know exactly why those flexions, extensions, abduction, adduction happen is because of the action of the muscles in relations to the wrist joint. And you will know in the future that you will need to know them, but don't worry about them for now. Just know the movements. Um, that's it. That's the wrist joint. I hope this was useful. If you can see, there's the joints of the hand. There's so many videos that we should create for those if you want them. I've covered the general idea of everything related to the upper arm when it comes to their bones, their joints, 1, 2, and 3. We can create the video for the joints of the arm of the hands, joint of the hands, where it goes from the joints between the carpal bones, the metacarpal phalanges, everything, like mainly joints of the hand right here. There's also a couple of things I didn't mention about the joints between the radius and ulna and the joints between them. There are 3 basically, and we can go over them in another video. So let me know if you guys need them. I might as well do them, but just in case. Okay, so that was the video about the wrist joints. I hope this was useful. Thank you all for being here. Stay beautiful. Um, I don't want to say anything about the question you guys have been asking me, but always try to help out somebody who needs help, because as doctors, you'll always be required to be as a first-hand helper. So that's why we're training ourselves to be that. And it's always nice to draw a smile on someone's face because of something that you've done. That's the end of the video. I hope this was useful. And thank you all for attending. I'll see you guys in the next ones.